don't have my other phone. So, I have to do everything from my damn TV. But we better get started on this topic. Or whatever. Get into it. Excuse me. But yeah, let's get into this topic. Hope that y'all are having a great day so far. We're almost done with this damn week, so shout out to that, okay? Because this week went by fast, but then it kind of felt slow too. I don't know, but we're almost at the end of it all, so shout out to that. I also want to say shout out to all the moms. I probably won't talk to y'all until after Mother's Day, so in advance, shout out to all of the mothers, whether you are a biological mother, a godmother, a auntie, a guardian, whatever, okay? Shout out to all of y'all. Yeah, I hope that you are celebrated at some point this weekend and that you get what you deserve, okay? Whatever you've been putting out in the universe, I hope that it comes back to you 100-fold. Amen. All right. You're so welcome. So tonight, it's been a reoccurring theme with religion this week. Not only have people been bringing it to my attention in regards to some of the conversations that I've been having, but also just on social media and with sinners coming out. Thank y'all for the gifts. Religion has just kind of been like a topic for like the last, I want to say, couple days, if not the last 2 weeks specifically. And I kind of just wanted to go over it as far as making that separation from religion to spirituality, especially because of the fact that there are a lot of people right now either in the midst of a transition from religion or have been thinking about it. And it's so important that we, as spiritual people who have been doing this and are living this life, that we have these conversations and we hold space for these conversations, because it brings a lot of clarity. Thank you so much, Ken. It brings you a lot of clarity. It brings a lot of clarity, period, within the collective. And then it also helps people to feel like they're not by themselves and that they're not tripping for a lot of the things that they're experiencing or going through or feeling, so on and so forth. I know that when it was time for me to fully let go of religion, it made it a little bit easier knowing that there were other people out there who were experiencing what I was experiencing, feeling what I was feeling, thinking of some of the things that I've thought of, asking some of the same questions, having some of the same experiences, past experiences from childhood. It just made me feel less alone in this whole thing. And when you feel understood, when you feel heard, when you feel seen, especially with something this serious, it helps with the process. You know what I'm saying? We can't sit here and act like it does not help when you have space, created for you to feel understood, especially when you're coming from a religious background, because a lot of them people don't want to hear shit you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? They don't really care. If you're not talking about their Lord and Savior and your belief in them, they don't really hold space for you. If anything, there's a lot of judgment. There's a lot of criticism. There's a lot of dirty looks. There's a lot of talking behind your back. There's a lot of, things that just aren't beneficial, right? So it is so helpful and important to have people, or to have spaces where people can be seen and heard, and felt on a deeper level, right? So I've talked about my transition from religion and spirituality, I don't know how many goddamn times. I have no idea. I made the official transition between 2019 and 2020. I was already studying spirituality prior to that, but I officially transitioned during that period, during those 2 years. It was a lengthy transition, right? Because it's not just about leaving the church, or it's not just about putting the Bible down. It's not just about, having that conversation, that tough conversation with people. But it's also a lot about what happens behind closed doors, what you feel behind closed doors, you know what I'm saying, after you have experienced that, and the mentality that it takes for you to be secure in that decision, for you to continue to move on, knowing that you made that decision, and really standing in your truth with it. Because, baby, it is not easy. It feels like, I always say, it feels like, how people come out the closet and, finally want to tell people that they like the same sex or whatever. It gives that. Because people really be looking at you and treating you as if that's what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? It's like a big deal. Unnecessarily. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. But yeah, yes, that's a good point too. It can feel like grieving. I feel like it's grievances on both sides. For me, specifically, my mother's side of the family are all in ministry. They're all in the church, right? My mom is a pastor now. At that point, for a long time, she was a minister, then an evangelist, and then eventually she became a pastor. We were all going to my grandmother's church, who still has a church. She's an apostle, and she started off as a minister with a gospel group with her mom and her sisters, and then it turned into her ministering, it turned into her being, I believe she was an evangelist at one point. There's always one yawn that I gotta get out every live. I believe she was an evangelist at one point, and then she went on to be a pastor, and then years after that, she became an apostle, and I think probably at some point soon, she'll probably be a bishop. Maybe, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't really spend too much time caring, because it seems it's all the same to me at this point in my life. But there was one point where I thought that all of those titles were just like so important, right? Which added to me being a little resistant in speaking my truth. And then another big part for me that I always explain when I'm talking about this is a lot of my questions could not get answered, and that bothered me so bad, because if you're trying to convince me to dedicate my life to something, you know what I'm saying, to the point where I'm sleeping, eating, breathing this thing, I'm going to need you to answer some questions. I'm going to need some things to make a little bit more sense than they're making, right? And it was very common sense stuff, which was another thing that threw me off, because I'm like, I'm not asking you to solve for the letter X, you know what I'm saying? I'm just asking you basic common sense, like, why God couldn't forgive the devil? You know what I'm saying? How is it our fault that we, are living in sin when, according to the Bible, God wrote our stories out and knew what our stories would be before we were even created? And is all powerful and could change it at any moment. It's just basic shit. You know what I'm saying? If there's a scripture where it's just Jesus and God talking, how the fuck y'all know what they said verbatim? If it's a scripture where it's just God and the devil talking, how the fuck do y'all know what they say verbatim? It's just basic things that I'm like, that just doesn't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? It was always the basic shit. Like, it didn't have to be all deep. You know what I'm saying? How did the serpent get into the garden? You telling me this is the garden of heaven and it's not locked down? Ain't no security? A snake could just, or a serpent, it doesn't say snake, it says serpent from what I remember. How the fuck did they just get in there? This should be the most protected place in the universe. It's not making sense to me. Obviously, somebody wanted him there. You know? You can't sneak past God according to the Bible. So how the fuck did he get in there? You know what I'm saying? It was just a lot of stuff that just didn't make sense. Or why as a church are we so concerned with Jesus if we trying to make it to heaven to see God? Why is all the songs that we singing got Jesus in it? Is he the main character? I'm confused. Who are we praying to? Who's the most important person here? They didn't hit you with well, they're all the same. So why the fuck am I talking to two different people? If they're all the same, then I should just be able to go to the main person and skip past all the other stuff. It's not making no damn sense. I'm confusion. Nobody can break that shit down. Hell no, they don't follow Jesus' teachings. And that was a part, that was part of, for me, because my religion was Christianity, reading the Bible and reading about the type of person Jesus was and the things that he stood for. Y'all, the church got it wrong. The church got it so wrong. Like y'all are not, he definitely said don't worship him. He was against pastors and priests. He said to access the kingdom of heaven, you go within. That's why in the Bible they said you got to go through, to get to God, you got to go through Jesus. Because Jesus is consciousness. Got to go within yourself. Jesus was the body. Represented the body. It's just like, y'all got songs, I worship you, Jesus. And that man is like, I didn't tell you to do that. I didn't tell you to do that. Y'all out here drinking metaphorical blood and eating metaphorical bodies. Very strange. Very strange. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of them call what we do witchcraft. And I'm like, well, what do you call drinking fake blood? If I was to sit here and say, yeah, in my spiritual practice, we use tomato juice to symbolize the blood of our ancestors. Do you know how fast them people would judge? They already judge when we say ancestors, because for some reason they think that we on our hands and knees, worshiping our ancestors, which is very strange, because who told y'all that? You know what I'm saying? Or they think, we got a crystal somewhere that we are, bowing to or something. Don't know where they got that from. It's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to what they think us spiritual people are really actually doing. And then they try to make rituals seem like a bad thing, but going to church every Sunday is a ritual. Going to the altar to pray. Why do you have an altar in church if you don't believe in altars? That's a ritual. Going to the altar to pray. Anointing somebody's head with oil. That's a ritual. And that's spell work. Especially if you put herbs in it. That's a spell. That would be a protection spell. That's what we would call that. Okay. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Those are all the same. The Catholics, they light their candles when they pray. Oh. So y'all do believe in candle magic. Got it. I just can't do it at home. I'm confused. You know what I'm saying? Just certain things just don't make sense. They don't quite click for me. And I can remember when I first started to be more open. I left the church, started to be more open with, what I was practicing and my beliefs. And my mom called me and she's like, going in. Like, how can you do blah, 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 and you over there conjuring demons, and you doing this, and you doing that, and whoop, 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 and you got this book of spells that you posted on Facebook, somebody you reading it, and whatever, and, you don't know what energies you're messing with or what spirits you're inviting into your house, and blah, 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 blah. And I said, Mom, when you went to Holy Land, because my mother went to Holy Land in Florida, right? The original Holy Land, of course, is, Israel, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Wherever Jesus was supposed to be from. But they have, like, a mock one in Florida, right? And my mother got this like, Jewish, like, praying cloth thing. Mind you, that lady's Pentecostal. Okay? So we're already just not what we need to be. Okay. And ever since she got it, when she pray, she would use it. She'll light a candle. She'll take out her little scarf thing and pray. And I had to tell her on the phone, I said, Mom, don't you light a candle before you pray? Don't you use, different items to help you tap in? Because what other reason would you be using that particular, scarf or whatever you want to call it? You could have used any other one. You could have used a damn, wash towel for all I care. And it would be the same thing if the purpose was just to use something. But you're using something specific for a specific reason. And pointing out them similarities, it was like going in one ear and out the other. It was just like, girl, I don't care what you're talking about. I'm saying what I'm saying. I said, okay. Well, then we don't have nothing to talk about. And for a while, I was just in the dark. It was just me by myself. I wasn't talking to no family for real. I was very much in my own bubble. You know what I'm saying? My father's mom has early onset Alzheimer's. And when I finally made the conversion from religion, she was like really early on. But there were still certain things that she just didn't remember. So she would call me and we would be talking. And she'd ask me, like, did you go to church this weekend? I'm like, no, I don't go to church no more. Well, why? You need to go to church. You need to do this. You need to blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, Grandma, I don't believe in that anymore. And to that generation, the baby boomer generation, you say that shit to them, they act like you just gave up on life or something. I mean, it's like the end of the damn world. It's like they're legit living in fear of going to hell. Like, that is the main thing with that generation. Like, you're going to go to hell. They're legit living in fear. Like, it's almost sad. Like, if it wasn't so annoying, it would actually be more sad. Because it's like, damn, like, and I had to realize that about religion. Like, I was really living my life in fear. Like, everything about it was just fearful. Like, for example, I was just a couple days ago with a friend of mine that still goes to church and is religious and all of that. And they was playing something on the TV, like some type of little podcast or something that they watched that was like, religious based. And one of it was like a quote for the day. And a part of the quote said, every morning that you wake up, expect for things to go wrong. And I was just sitting there like, what? Like, in my head, I'm judging so bad. Because that just did not make sense to me. And that shit was like really fucking with my head. And then the next part of it was like, know that God will help you through it. And, blah, 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 blah. And you'll have help. And, basically like, yeah, expect the worst. Because then God's going to come in like Superman and help you. And be right there with you. And I'm just like, why would you start your day expecting the worst to happen? How is that inspirational? How is that something that is like, yeah, that's that shit right there? I can't wait to wake up and expect for everything to go wrong. Like, that's a spell. I don't know if people know. Like, we know words are spells, right? We did a whole lesson on words, on etymology over here. Okay, we've done a lot of lessons over here, and that was one of the ones that we did, sometime last month, that was very much so on point. Okay, y'all can go to my YouTube, link in the bio, go to the live section, scroll down, and look for the lesson on etymology. Speaking things like that over a day that has not come yet, or over a day that has not, you're just starting, is diabolical. Going throughout that process, even with the mentality that everything is going to go wrong, is crazy. We know for a fact that we attract what we think. We attract the energy that we hold. We are mirrors, right? What we speak will come to pass. What we think will come to pass. What we believe will come to... We understand that. There is no reason why anybody should be waking up in the rising before starting this new day, this whole brand new fresh day where anything can happen, and your first thought is, I'm going to expect for everything to go to shit. Like, that shit really concerned me. And it wasn't even concerning that they said it. It was more concerning that all of them people read that shit and was in agreement. Because I always expect for there to be somebody who just a little off. You know what I'm saying? That's just life. Some people are going to bring certain things to the table and they just may be a little off. That's just how that goes. But to have multiple people, and I believe this was something sent in like a group chat that they had. So to have multiple people agreeing with this type of mentality, that's what scared me. Because that hive mentality shit is some of the most destructive. It's just destructive as hell. Why is everybody going around with the same mentality? Nobody is asking a question. Nobody is posing a different mentality or a different thought process. Nobody is saying, maybe, this isn't that and that isn't this. Or maybe we should look at this from a different perspective. No one's trying to offer a different angle. Nobody is saying that don't really sit right with me. Nobody's saying anything. Everybody's just like, yes. Yeah, that's, yep. We're just going to go with it. What? That's what y'all want to go with? And then to be able to take what you think you know about spirituality and deem that evil or negative versus what the fuck that is diabolical to me. Which really clarifies for me and confirms that a lot of people don't truly understand spirituality, especially religious people. They just see it goes against, in whatever way, whatever they think, and that automatically means that this is some evil shit. They automatically just look at that shit and be like, it's not what I believe in. It goes against what I was taught. Especially given the fact that, especially for me as a Christian, growing up Pentecostal, most of that shit was traditions. It wasn't even in the Bible. Like, when I went back and read the Bible for myself, I was looking at a lot of shit like, that wasn't even said. Jesus ain't even say that. Ain't nobody even say that. Why the fuck are they saying that now? You know what I'm saying? Like, Where did they get that from? So it's so many just sayings that we had in black church that it's just shit that you just say. And because it's something that you say and people have been saying it for a while, everybody just automatically assumes that this is in the Bible and that's all be saying it. Most of that shit is not in the Bible. They're literally just repeating things that they heard before. They're repeating things that, you know, somebody else said at one point. They don't have no understanding of it. Just repetitive. Like tithes and offering. Nowhere in the Bible does it say you have to give tithes and offering. There was literally a story about somebody giving an offering. And they took that and made that like the law of the church. And now you have to give 10%. There were no percentages listed in the Bible. If you go read that, there is not one text in there that has the word percent. So where did y'all get this 10% from? Somebody made that shit up. And because they made it up and everybody was going with it, it just is what it is. The whole sex before marriage thing. Not a commandment, not a law. That one I just recently learned from a pastor. A pastor was in church preaching to his congregation about that shit. I said, well, damn. If it's pastors out here, you know, setting the record straight, then you know we are definitely in the age of awakening. You know what I'm saying? We are definitely in the age of awakening if you got pastors out here telling the truth about certain things that the church has been spewing for generations. And that's definitely one of them. They've made sex, I mean, just like you have to be married first. And if you're not, then you're Jezebel and a whore and a whatever the fuck else. Creflo Dollar was telling all the tea. He was one of the main ones that was talking about the whole tithes and offering thing. He exposed that and it was a whole bunch of people mad at him. But he wasn't lying, especially going according to the Bible. Of course, they don't explain why not to do it. I understand that we're talking about it from the perspective of, you know, spirituality. And this is why religion is the child of spirituality, right? There is no belief system that predates spiritual beliefs and spiritual practices. Because if we're talking about the exchange of energy with the wrong people, right? Then that would make sense. Okay, don't have sex before, well, I'm not going to keep saying that word, but don't do it before you lock in with, you know, the person that you want to be with long term. Because on a spiritual level, you are passing that energy around and you don't know who you are, you know, energetically intertwining with. You don't know what you're picking up on. You don't know what energies are being passed around. You know what I'm saying? On a spiritual level, it makes sense. On a health level, which is also spiritual, you know, you want to make sure that you're clean. You want to make sure that you ain't got nothing going on down there because you all over the place and giving it to everybody. You know what I'm saying? You know, it makes sense on that level, right? But it don't make sense from a religious level. It just sounds judgmental. Absolutely, you can skip religion and go straight to spirituality. Absolutely. Absolutely. I used to be jealous of people who didn't grow up being so forced into religion like I was. I used to be very jealous because I felt like they had an opportunity to not be manipulated and brainwashed, and they don't have to unlearn a lot of things that I had to unlearn and that I'm still unlearning to this day. But then I also had to look at it from a different perspective and say, okay, well, yeah, I got things to unlearn and stuff like that, but it also allowed me to see the similarities. It also allowed me to see, the different ways that you can tell religion copied spirituality. You know what I'm saying? And have that first person interaction with it, right? It also, I also believe that there's a lot of pastors and preachers and evangelists and prophets and all of those people who are truly spiritually gifted, who truly have a gift and are meant to be in some type of position of, I'm not gonna say power, but be in some type of position of leadership and assistance to the collective. I truly believe that. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of the women in my family who are religious leaders are truly gifted. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, my love. They are truly gifted. They do have, a lot of things that they offer. They do have a lot of understandings and a lot of, higher knowledge, and things of that nature. Like, I will never be one of those people that's like, oh, because religion, those people, they just playing. No, because some of them truly have a gift. But the unfortunate part, from my opinion, is that they don't know that they are the gift. They're giving credit to something outside of themselves. And, I feel like regardless of who you are, we all have different people that we're supposed to help and affect on our journey in some type of way, shape, or form. We all have people, who are lined up at some point in our future, waiting for us to get there to assist them with whatever we're supposed to assist them with. So I do think, some people are useful in the church, if, especially when they're simply just operating in their gift and telling those people what they need to hear and passing along the messages as they're needed. I don't see that no different than somebody working at a jail and allowing their gift to help those people at a jail, or somebody being a therapist or working in mental health and helping those people, or somebody being a doctor or a teacher, or, you know what I'm saying? I don't really see it no different. Again, it just sucks when they don't know who to truly give the credit to. You know what I'm saying? Not understanding that they possess the gift. They didn't get it from nobody. It's their gift. You know what I'm saying? So that would be my only gripe with that. But a lot of those people are truly gifted. I've had prophets in church tell me some things that nobody could have told me unless they was there. And they've told me things that I was by myself, and I know I was by myself, and I know I ain't tell nobody about it. You know what I'm saying? Very specific, particular things. That is just like, if you literally had to be in that room with me to know these things. These specifics. So a lot of those people are definitely gifted. But I've also had some prophets come up and tell me some shit, and I'd be like, this is not my message. I mean, you telling me something that has never happened. Like, I had a prophet, and I told this story before, call me up. Mind you, this same quote-unquote prophet was an older guy. At this point, I had to be probably in my early 20s, maybe 20. Like, maybe 20. 21, maybe. Between 20 and 22. Some shit like that. Early 20s. And this guy had to be like in his 40s at the time. Early 40s or late 30s. And was married was trying to talk to me, was in my inbox and all the things, trying to flirt with me and all this stuff. He ended up coming to my grandmother's church to preach for a revival. I think he was there for 2 days or something. We had like a 2-day revival, and I think I want to say he preached both days. But this particular day, he, is preaching, and he's a preacher, but he was known for being a prophet at this point. And he calls me up there, and I'm like, okay. And he gets to telling me, yeah, because I know what happened to you when you was 12. And trying to say some essay happened to me when I was 12. And I didn't tell nobody. I looked at my mama. My mama looked at me. I said, no. I would remember that. You know what I'm saying? I have a great memory. And as somebody who did actually experience that, it wasn't at that age. Your wires are crossed. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But sometimes the motherfuckers just be fishing. They think that because they think that you a certain type of way, that something has happened to you, you know what I'm saying, at a certain point in your life. So they just try to fish it. And a lot of them people thought that, I was, they called it fast. They call it fast. The older generation called it being fast. They thought that I was just a fast little girl. So a lot of them would just assume, oh, well, this has to be her story. And I'm like, no, that's actually not my story. Wrong person. You know what I'm saying? Church is very judgmental. I remember at one point, and I didn't have no church hurt or nothing like that, because a lot of people try to say, oh, we left the church because we had church hurt. Like, I didn't have church hurt. I mean, anywhere you go and anywhere you spend a lot of time, there's going to be things that happen. But that don't mean I got church hurt. You know what I'm saying? I remember being in high school, and I'm short. I'm like 5 foot, 4'11", 5 foot, 5'1" on a really, really good day. You know what I'm saying? On a great day. But I'm short. Been short my whole life. It just is what it is, right? And I remember being in high school, and this lady from the church, cause I was into makeup. I want to say my mom started letting me wear like eyeshadow and shit, maybe in like 8th grade in middle school, my last year in middle school. And then when I got to high school, it was eyeshadow, lip gloss, and then, matte lipstick started becoming a big deal. The liquid lipstick started becoming a big deal when I was in high school. So, I started wearing those and eyeliner, and, I didn't start wearing lashes until I graduated. But, yeah. So, I want to say this had to be my junior year, maybe. Yeah, that's 11th grade. Yeah. And I would come to church with, my little red lipstick on. I'm from D.C. and Maryland. So, red lipstick that's just our shit out here. You know what I'm saying? To this day. You know a girl from out this way if they just always got that red on. That ruby woo. Or just like a red lip. Like, that's just like a signature look from out here. So, I would, wear my little red lipstick and, all that. And that lady went to my grandmother and told her, mind you, she's just a random ass lady at the church. Okay? Random ass lady. Not a family member, not nobody that was like of any real true importance. Just a random lady that went to my grandmother's church. And gonna go to my grandmother and tell my grandmother she think I'm too young to be wearing lipstick. Girl, what? This is what you're thinking about in the middle of service? This is just on your heart so bad that you're going to go to my grandmother, who's the pastor, and tell her that you don't think I should be wearing lipstick because I'm too young. Now, my mother, as religious as she is, she let that lady have it. Because it was just so unnecessary and so random and so like, are you okay? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? She cussed that lady out. She tried to keep it holy, but she definitely gave her a piece of her fucking mind. And just growing up in that type of environment where everybody is just so like they paying attention to everything but what they should be paying attention to. You know what I'm saying? That whole come as you are, come as you are, regardless of what you got on and how you look and how you live your life. You know what I'm saying? You could be a crackhead, you could be a prostitute, you could be this, and that. Just come as you are. And then people will come in there. They may not have no church clothes. Maybe all they got is that little skirt and that shirt. That might be all they got. You know what I'm saying? Maybe all they got is them tight ass pants. That's what they got. So how can you say the most important thing is that, you come in here and get what you need and we assist you with getting closer to whoever. But then when they do come in there, you paying attention to their outfit. You paying attention to how their heels are. Or what they smell like. Or what they look like. It's just like, it's so contradictory. Like, that should never set well with me. Because a person in need, the last thing anybody should be worried about is their appearance. If you here to save somebody's soul or to help somebody get on the right path, the last thing you care about is their fucking appearance. Or the judgment of, some of these babies having kids early. Wouldn't they need the church more than ever right now if they're a young mom? You know what I'm saying? You being judgmental towards them, making them feel unwanted, making them feel like trash. How does that help? I don't know if y'all seen that video going around like a couple months ago of that pastor that made that girl who got pregnant, that teenage girl that got pregnant, made her stand up and apologize to everybody. What? That's what we care about? And not saying that you shouldn't talk to the baby, you know what I'm saying, and help her through whatever she's going through. But making her apologize to the church, like she just is just the most horrible thing ever, is crazy. And the preacher then told her, you can't have no baby shower because we don't condone what you did. So basically the baby shower is almost like us saying what you did was okay and acceptable. So because of that, you can't have no baby shower. We not celebrating this. The purpose of a baby shower, yes, is to celebrate the life and the child and congratulate the mom and all those things. But it's also to help that mother get the supplies and things that she needs in order to have this baby. For her to know that she has a community of people who care for her and her new baby that she's about to bring into this world. And you're going to tell that baby girl that because I'm not going to say made a mistake because I feel like all babies are here for a reason. But because the baby came a little sooner than the world expected, that she can't have the assistance, that she can't have access to community, that she can't have access to help and mental care and things of that nature. That just further, and that should never happen in my church. Like, my grandmother is not that type of pastor. We done had a lot of, I'm not going to say a lot, but we've had, young girls get pregnant, and have babies that, go to my grandmother's church. And she'll never do no shit like that. You know what I'm saying? She would never do no shit like that. But there are really churches out here who still have that mentality. They really do. They really do. They have that mentality. They ostracize people for, different things. They're judgmental. I haven't met a Christian that's not judgmental. And speaking from experience, even when I was in church, I was judgmental because that's just the mentality. And they don't teach you that it's being judgmental. They try to convince you that it's you holding up the standard of the Bible. You believe in the Bible, so therefore you have a right to point the finger at people and tell them that they're doing something wrong, or they're not living right, or whatever. They try to convince you that that's that you're within your right to look at people and feel however you feel about them and what they're doing and their personal business and their personal lives. And it's supposed to be because you care about them. You in a business because you love them and you care about them and you want the best for them. According to them. According to these people. Now, does that shit make sense? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And if the goal is to get more people into these churches, then why are you behaving that way? Why are you acting that way? Why are you treating people that way? Why are you dealing with people in that energy? If the goal is to get more people here, to get more butts and seats, to get more people to believe, right? If I'm telling you that I subscribe to a religion that is built off of love, then why am I giving you hate? Why am I giving you judgment? Why am I giving you negativity? Especially, to proclaim that they are followers of Christ. Christ didn't move like that. He the one who told them basically not to throw rocks. He who was without sin cast the first stone. That was Jesus. Because they was trying to judge one of the girls that I guess was a prostitute or something. So it none of it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? You either believe in what you're reading, you know what I'm saying, and you're going with it, and you're believing it, and you're living your life based on it, or you don't, and you just bullshitting, and you just talking just to talk. And a lot of them are, most of them are. Now, you run into a few nice Christian people who just, will give you the information and, still be kind and non-judgmental and all those things. There are a few of them out there. That's not to say that, everybody is on the opposite side of the fence. But most of them are on the opposite side of the fence. Most of them are not the kind ones who are giving you kind words and all of that. That's not the majority at all. And it's unfortunate. Now, leaving church, when I first left, I was very jaded. So I didn't want nothing to do with the church. I don't want to see a Bible. I don't want to go to a church. I don't want to be around a church person. I don't want to, go to no events at church. And my whole family was still in the church. So sometimes they would have events and different things going on. I didn't want to go to nobody's event. I wanted to stay so far away from that damn building. Period. But then the more I got into my journey, I picked the Bible back up and, started using it in hoodoo work. And then I was able to start going back to the church because I realized that shit don't got nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? What they practice, what they believe, don't have nothing to do with me. And I think that's one of the biggest differences between Christians and spiritual people. As spiritual people, we really don't give a fuck what you practice. That's not our business. You know what I'm saying? We're not living our life worried about how you live in your life. We don't really too much care. It's like, if you want to go to church, go to church. If you want to praise Jesus, praise him. You want to say hallelujah and jump around? Live your life. You know what I'm saying? We really don't care. But they care so much, or fake care, because I don't think it's genuine. I think it's just an excuse to have something to say or to feel superior. But they're always so worried about what we got going on. And when we have conversations like this, I'm glad it hasn't happened tonight. But for those who used to follow the lives I did on my original page, my main page, y'all know we couldn't make it through a conversation without them coming in these comment sections and being judgmental and, you know what I'm saying, wanting to argue back and forth and calling us out our name and all type of shit. Like, we couldn't make it, you know, just speaking our piece and saying what we needed to say and keeping it pushing. It would never work out. It was always crazy. Because for some reason, nobody can have conversations about them without them feeling like, or without the religion, right? Without them taking it personally. Which is crazy. Because, like, nobody's talking about you personally. We're talking about the religion. And on top of that, we're talking about our personal experiences with the religion. So you can't get in my comments and say, not all churches, not all people, not obviously, not all people. We're talking about a specific person, a specific thing, a specific event. You know what I'm saying? Or we could be talking about spirituality. Don't have nothing to do with religion. Don't have nothing to do with the church. Don't have nothing to do with nothing. And they'll come in and you need to repent. Jesus is coming back. It's just like, obviously, you know, the people in here don't believe what you believe. So why even say all of that? Why even say anything at all? You know what I'm saying? Knowing what you know, why say anything at all? I would never... I scroll past, I don't know how many Bible studies a day on this app. Or people singing or shouting around or, you know, live streaming their church service. I can't tell you how many of those videos I go past a day. Do you think I click on them and be in the comments like, this shit is a lie, y'all being scammed, y'all need to go to y'all ancestors? No, I'm just gonna scroll. It don't have nothing to do with me. Them people minding their business, practicing whatever they're practicing, believing in whatever they believe in. That don't got shit to do with me. And for some reason, we as spiritual people can do that, and it's like they can't. It's like they just can't help themselves, and it's so irritating. My mother told me the other day, you gonna marry a pastor, and you're gonna be a first lady. Mind you, I'm the only one that's spiritual in my family. My little brother, her youngest son, lives with her. He was on FaceTime with us. He bust out laughing because he already know what I was going to say. He knows me very well. And he instantly was crying laughing because he's like, lady, you crazy as hell if you think that girl is going to be somebody's first lady and marry a damn pastor. You are crazy. I said, Ma, you're burnt out. You need to let it go. Because, girl, what is you talking about right now? This is the same lady that told me I was going to marry a football player. Same lady that told me I was going to marry a basketball player. I said, I'm not marrying nobody's pastor. You are crazy. And I'll be cool with people who got different religions. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? I probably won't be the closest to those people. But we can be cool. I don't discriminate. If you're a cool person, you're a cool person. But if you think that I'm going to marry somebody that shares a whole different belief system than me, you're crazy. It's not happening. No. And I don't have kids. So whoever I marry, we gotta be on the same page so that our kids don't be confused. I said, Mom, no. Yes, he's gonna bring you back to the church. This is the same lady that took one of my healing books, the books that I wrote to help people heal, and put it on her altar at church because she thought that was going to bring me back to the church. Mind you, she did this shit a couple years ago. It's not working. You couldn't pay me to go back to that belief system. There is no amount of money that you could give me and be like, all you gotta do is just go to church and believe in it, and you can have all of this money. No, thank you. It is not worth it. It's not fucking worth it. No. So, me from experience, from first-hand experience, you know, my family still think that there's hope when it comes to me in the church. And I be trying to tell them, there is no hope. You know what I'm saying? It is not that. It's never going to be that. No. And my whole reasoning of tapping deeper into the Bible was to get deeper into church and try to believe and understand more. And it turned me the complete opposite way. Instead of getting deeper into the church, I got deeper into spirituality. And it wasn't planned. There's so many things in that Bible that are like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? From my own perspective, not reading the scripture and letting somebody else tell me what it means or what it's trying to say, but me reading it for myself and using my own common sense. Because a lot of them will try to hold, oh, this word meant something different back then, and this was this, and you're taking it out of context, and you got to read the full thing, and you can't just read the scripture. You got to read all 13 books before that, and then you can come here, and then it's going to make sense. And it's like, no. I read it, the chapters before it, the pages before it, and everything. And still, as I arrive at this specific point, I am fucking thrown off. Like, there's nothing that can be done about it. The shit is off. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit used to blow me. Like, you're missing the context. It's like they think we stupid. But it does say lean not to your own understanding, which is a red flag. Because why you don't want me to understand? How am I supposed to practice something I don't understand? That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? And how am I supposed to believe in something that I don't understand, or enforce something that I don't understand, or live my life, you know, based on something that I don't understand? It's like, give up the Bible and follow the law. I mean, you talking about the laws of the land or the laws of the universe? I don't follow the laws of the Bible. Number one, because they're not the original laws, right? There's so many laws that came before that. The 48 laws of Mayat came before the laws of Moses. If anything, the 48 laws of Mayat is where they got the 10 commandments from. You know what I'm saying? Or 42. I think I said 48. 42. That's where they got that shit from. So, no, I'm not an Israelite. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Muslim. I'm not Jewish. I'm not Catholic. I'm not Pentecostal, Baptist, Kojic, Seventh-day Adventist. What's the other one? Jehovah's Witness. None of that. I don't subscribe to none of that. I don't subscribe to any religion at all. No. Because a lot of people think that they spiritual and then they call themselves Israelites. I'm like, that's religion. Still. The fuck? Y'all still believe basically all of that shit except some of it. It's the same stuff. I don't understand that shit. Can't do it. No, I don't believe in none of that. I believe in going directly to the source, and the source is me. Why do I need to go through all of these third-party ass people? Even practicing hoodoo. Hoodoo is going directly to the source. Hoodoo doesn't have deities. The only quote-unquote deities, if there were deities, the only people you could put in that title or in that circle would be ancestors. But we don't treat our ancestors as deities. We treat them as ancestors. We treat them like spirits that were here before. That's it. We don't treat them like they are these, gods that we worship. Like, that's another misconception about spirituality. We don't worship our ancestors. We would honor them the same way we would honor them if they were living. The same way I would acknowledge grandma or my great-grandma for being who she is and teaching me whatever she's taught me is the same way we do it from a spiritual perspective. It's no different. So we don't believe in worshiping, gods and people and all these extra spirits and shit like that. We don't believe in all of that. It's very much so straight to the point. We're appreciative of any protection assistance. We're appreciative with any assistance with our journey, and we show that by honoring them, whether that's through offerings or words of honor or, having conversations or, whatever. Okay, altar, whatever. It's all about honor and thankfulness and gratitude. It have nothing to do with worshiping or praising or any of that. Because, again, that's strange. When you really think about the shit, that's strange. So I'm going to open the floor up for any questions. And then I'm going to wrap up. This will be posted on YouTube tomorrow afternoon. Yeah, because tomorrow's Friday. So sometime towards the afternoon, it'll be posted on YouTube for those who want to watch it back. Or for those who missed the beginning part. And yeah. So if you do have any questions, go ahead and post them in the comments. I am still doing specials. So I have specials for mentorships right now, 4-week mentorships. I have specials for 1-hour consultations for $45. I have specials for 5-minute readings for $25. 10-minute readings for $35. I think I'm going to be offering 30-minute readings again soon. I might do it this weekend. But if you're interested, just inbox me and I'll send you the information for all of the specials that I have right now. And I think that's it. Yeah, this will be posted tomorrow. I don't know for sure if I'll be live tomorrow. If I am, then you'll see me. If I'm not, then you won't see me. I don't want to give a time because I have no idea. Just make sure that your live notifications are on so that you do get notified when I am live. Because for some reason, some people get notified and some people don't. I don't know why. I don't know why it's like that. It's been weird. The notifications have been weird since we was offline for like those couple of hours when they locked us off of TikTok. So, I don't know. But yeah, light and love. Hopefully these messages and, just talking about this a little bit helped. I'm going to probably do a more in-depth live. Well, we did one already. We did a lesson of the similarities between religion and spirituality. So that's also on YouTube. Definitely make sure y'all go subscribe to that. Link is in the bio. My website is currently down right now because I'm doing some work on it, updating a couple of things. So it'll be down for like the next couple of weeks, maybe. So if you are interested in any services, readings, mentorships, consultations, counseling sessions, any of those things, contact me directly. Okay, you can either contact me via my email, PocaSPEAKS615@gmail.com. Or you can DM me on here or on any of my other socials that you guys may follow me on, and I'll send you any information on any services or specials that I have going on right now. All right. Light and love. Again, if I see y'all tomorrow, then I'll see y'all tomorrow. If not, I'll definitely see y'all Monday. And yeah, we'll go from there. All right. Have an amazing weekend. Enjoy the rest of your night. Be safe. Okay. And I'll see you guys later.